Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of ABC Latino Community. I'm with a special guest today. I'm with Ana Carolina Estarita, that is a Latino woman like me and many of you that are looking at this interview right now, that moved to this country to look for a better opportunity for her career. She is an visual artist and immersive media designer who began her career as one of the most influential young experimental animators in her native Colombia. But now, since 2016, she moved to Los Angeles in California to improve her artist career. How are you today?
Hi, Mahafi. I'm good. How are you?
Good, thank you. And thank you for being with us and sharing your experience with us here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, before we start with your professional career and talking about this amazing artist and very different art that you make, please tell us a little bit about your experience. Why did you move to this country and how that experience has been for you?
Yes. So many years ago, back in Colombia, I made part of this collective called Reclap, and we used to have it was a collective of experimental digital arts, and we used to bring guests from all over the world, from different parts of the world, to show their work and to talk about their experience. And being on that collective, I grew curious to see how actually working on these immersive technologies was. And so in 2016, I was awarded the International Artist Fellowship at the University of Southern California. And that is a program that seeks to help and highlight artists that have countries located on the Pacific Rim. I got awarded that fellowship. I came to Los Angeles and I started very quickly. I started working with these immersive media and these new technologies.
How the experience of moving from your country to this country have affected, or how that has been in your personal life and in your professional life?
So moving to Los Angeles, I think that Los Angeles is a very nice hub to move as a Latino person because there's a very big community. There's a very big Mexican and Salvadorian population. Even though I'm Colombian, there's a lot of similarities that allowed me to find myself at home. So it was really, I wouldn't say it was easy, but it was definitely easier than I expected. And of course, I made part also of a network of Colombians that live on the city. So since day two that I was in LA, I literally linked up with a Colombian friend of a friend. And since then has been like this great friendship. And we've been connecting with people and we have like this network of people that we know. So it's also like I've found ways of creating my own area where I actually feel like it's been really easy to get used to it on that sense, personal sense. On the work sense was a bit more of a shock actually. First was getting used to speak on professional English, like having the terms and communicating properly. But also there's like these cultural differences, various like cultural differences. Like for example, in Colombia, people use email, but email is not like people is not expecting you to answer right away. You know what I mean? Well, here, email is like, okay, you got an email, you answer an email. So that was a thing, that was a shock. And right now, for example, that I'm working between two places, sometimes it's hard because sometimes I expect people from Colombia to be like, okay, I sent you an email, you haven't answered. And I'm like, oh, wait a second, it's true. It's different there.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Very interesting to hear how, when you were saying in your personal life, how when you came to this country, you found this Latino community from other countries in Latin America that, give this like sense of home. And I feel like in that state and in New York as well, and people that are seeing this right now will understand that we move and we always see the Latino culture is like that. We try to help each other always. And I feel that that's in every part of the country when you are an immigrant. And it's good to hear that, right?
Yeah, it is and again it's a network that grows. Like someone helped me and then I know someone that is coming that is new, and then I help them, then it becomes like, oh, I'm doing for this person what they did for me, and they will do for someone else what I'm doing for them, and it becomes like this big network of help.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, so now that we're moving towards your professional life, first I would like to know what is the immersive media? What is that type of art?
Yeah, so immersive media, it's basically any type of media that changes your surroundings, either by creating absolutely virtual, non-existent surroundings, like what happens on virtual reality. You wear a headset, and all of a sudden everything you see around you looks totally different to what was looking before, or by affecting the surroundings, like augmented reality. So, for example, Pokemon Go, that was so successful. One of the things that Pokemon Go did is like you would put your cell phone and you would see a little thing standing on a desk or standing on the floor, and it would add new elements. Another way that augmented reality is experienced for us is, for example, AR filters. So when you go into Instagram and you put a filter on your face that adds makeup or adds something, this is enhancing reality, it's changing reality. So basically, it's any type of medium that affects your surroundings and affects reality and the space.
So what I understand is that you are mixing visual arts with like animation and computer work, and it's like a combination of installation in a place
Yeah.
to go and interact with the art.
Yes. So exactly. So the interesting thing is like it's taking these technologies that are like hard technologies. You know what I mean? Like very like initially were used mostly for like engineering stuff. Taking these technologies and using them to communicate ideas that usually are reflected on art. So ideas of the self, of feelings, of concepts, of social situations. All these ideas that usually you reflect on art, bringing them into this medium and using this medium to reflect these ideas. So it's yeah, it's basically making them be on service of the meaning and the content.
Very interesting. Is there any project that you are working on right now, or projects that you were working that you want to share, or you have any plans for the future?
Yes. So, for example, one of the most recent projects are Circles of Care, which is an immersive interactive installation where people walk into an area where everything is live, isn't it? And when people touch a sphere in the middle of the space, they can change their surroundings. Another one is Good Girl, which is a project we did with artist Tonya B. And on that project, it's through VR, the participants supposedly access the subconscious of uh, alter ego of Tonya. And another project, the most recent one, is Vibration Group, which is a sci-fi immersive opera. We work with Ana Luisa Petrisco and Tonya too, and it's an immersive experience where participants walk into the gallery. And there's computers, and there's a spa that happens to be a VR headset spa, but there's all these environments that allows you to feel like, oh, I'm on a spaceship all suddenly. And upcoming projects, we have a show actually with Vibration Group in June 6th, and I'm working on a project called Ama y no Olvida with Emilia Yang, which is a museum. It was an exhibit that happened in Nicaragua, commemorating people who died um, during the protests that happened a couple years ago. But now we're making it VR, so we can circulate it across Latin America, not only Nicaragua.
Using all the technology you can.
Exactly.
Yeah. So this project that we are working on right now, Vibration Group, what is the message that you want to send? What is this about?
Yeah. So Vibration Group is a very interesting project. It is what they call an alternate reality game. And alternate reality games are games where basically a basic element of reality has been changed. For example, in the case of this piece in particular, what had changed is that Earth is no longer habitable. Like you cannot live on Earth. And so what happens is that this is a group of migrants that go into a spaceship, but all of the migrants are either descendants or directly of countries that had suffered colonization. So they resist to be settlers. They decide they don't want to go to another planet and colonize it, and they decide to remain in a state of being migrants forever. So they are suspended on this spaceship, always traveling as migrants. And what the piece tried to imagine is like, what are ways of healing? What are ways of living? What are ways of loving or relating yourself to your surroundings when you are in a constant migrant state? So there's like a bunch of exercises. There's a lot of like elements that are created within that universe, thinking under that premise. What is the life as a constant migrant?
I like the topic, especially because it's a reality that we live in right now. Immigrant migration, all this is a state that we're, even if you stay 4, 5, 7 years, 10 years, 20 years, you're always going to feel like you are moving from another place, right?
Yeah.
And besides that, the idea of like the earth is not longer a place that you can live in and you have to move. With the current situation that we are in right now, it just made me think about that. I wonder if this was an idea that you and the other artists have because of where we're living right now, or it was just a coincidence.
It is curious because this project is also actually a project that an idea that Ana Luisa has been carrying with her for like 6, 7 years, and finally last year we were able to put it together. But it's very, very relevant, and we're very surprised. Like, we had a meeting shortly after all of this started, and we were saying like, it's crazy that we did all this in a sort of a play idea, you know what I mean, almost like, but then also became very relevant. Even though the piece talks about this fictional world, a lot of the topics it touches are actually real, like the topic of immigration. But this specific topic of having a planet that also indeed is becoming harder and harder to live on, it's a thing that totally took us for surprise. And one of the nice things is that actually we build these exercises, and this is what we want to do in the performance. Isn't it? Like, we have this book of exercises for confined spaces, for when you cannot leave. How do you bring your mind to other spaces? And also, only we're finding those exercises we made on that art piece being relevant and important to this moment in time.
Very accurate for the time. So now, how is the pandemic and the quarantine times affecting this exhibition? Because this is, interactive with people in the galleries, and I don't think this is any, close to phase 1 or 2 to be open. So how is this affecting, and how you are going to face this challenge?
It's curious because I think that what happens is thinking, one of the reasons why initially I found immersive media interesting is because accessibility. It allows people that otherwise wouldn't be able to go to certain places or experience certain stuff to actually be there or experience there. So the question now, it's like, how do we keep this baseline idea of accessibility as this core of the work? And that's what we've been doing. It's like, okay, we have these ideas, we need to adapt them to make it accessible to the most amount of people possible. So for example, in the case of Vibration Group, we're having a online performance in June 6th with Culture Hub in LA. And it's basically, we've built a whole system to basically immerse you in the spaceship. And there's a bunch of exercises that if you're a participant in the performance, you can or not do, because again, it's about accessibility, but at the same time, it's like the whole idea is creating with you the sensation that you are on this space where things are changing around you. And so it's been mostly about adaptation. Like, I think like AR filters are a thing that I always found interesting, but I never had actually the motivation to jump into. And right now I've been working on some AR filters for Instagram because it's like, oh, this is the moment. So it's been just adapting, but keeping that baseline of accessibility, which is the main reason why I decided to start working on this field.
Kind of applying a little bit what you are doing in this exhibition, like adapting to the environment and the
yeah.
Okay, if there is a message or something that you want to tell to the Latino community that moved to this country and they are artists and they are starting their career, a message that you want to send from your experience?
Yes, definitely visibility. A lot of times I feel like when you are, personally as a woman, as a Latino woman working in technology, find myself quite often on rooms where I am the only person that looks like me, and by far, like it's not like by far. And one of the things that I think is that being there creates actually a space for people like me to be there. Sometimes it's hard. It's not always easy. Sometimes it's hard to have conversations with your coworkers or your bosses about diversity. It's a really hard conversation to have. And sometimes you might find yourself not in a situation to have that conversation. But just by standing on that room, you're making a statement. And by standing on that room and making that statement, you're opening the doors for more people like you to come. And so I think like know that you belong, even if it feels like might not be a place. You standing there is creating a place of belonging, and then other people can come and join you on that location. So I feel like it's about visibility and like doing this thing, even if it feels initially like, oh, there's no one like me doing it. Well, you might be the first one, but that means there's going to be more people like you afterwards.
Beautiful. Okay, Ana, how can we contact you? Is there a website, social media? How can we do that?
Yeah, so my website is aestarita.com. That is aestarita.com. And in Instagram, I am like a.estarita. So the same a.estarita. And I'll be putting on my Instagram. You can see both my work, but on Instagram in particular, I'm updating stuff like where are the next performance, where are the dates and locations, are links in this case.
Perfect, because now that this is going to be digital and we can maybe enjoy this from New York, right? If we can
definitely.
Stay connected, and if you are listening or watching this and you want to know more about this, you can contact Ana Carolina, or you can also do it through ABC Latino. You can also write us an email, info@abclatino.net, or contact us in social media. We are in Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube como ABC Latino, one word. Thank you, Ana, for your time, for the beautiful art that you do, and all the inspiring words that you share with us today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mafi.
Bye.
Bye.